Chapter 16. Problem through mail. Salim and Ayub were studying in a school at Thyrovadavar. Besides running the clinic, Dad met all needs of his sons with love. Since Malur was just 6 kilometers from Thyrovadavar, his mom Fathumathu Bibi and his sisters now and then came to help. All friends and relatives in the area took whatever Dad said as a command and fulfilled it without failure. At first Salim and Ayub found it difficult to adjust in a new school, and as days went by they adopted well to the new environment. Dad frightened them, saying that if they do not study well and get good marks, he would smack them. It worked. Salim came out as the best student in his government exams held for grade 8 students in the region, and Tamil Nadu government gave him 100 rupees as gift certificate. Even though Dad loved them very much, still they longed for the love of their mom and were wilting like a plant which wasn't watered for many days. Without their elder brothers and sister, they felt lonely. They had only Muslim and Hindu friends. They were not even able to speak about Jesus. This bothered their young hearts and they longed for Jesus and God's words. Before leaving children with their dad, Mom told Salim,
"Salim, Ayub is very young boy, do not fight with him, look after him with affection. It is hard for Mom to be away from you both, so write me letters at least once a month without Dad's knowledge. I will write to you through Nalatambi's address and he will give you my letter secretly. Both of you read my letter and tear it at once. If Dad comes to know that we are writing to each other, he will kill you both. Do not tell anyone about this. Do it carefully."
Salim promised to do so. Accordingly, they wrote letters to each other secretly. Nalatambi used to call Salim alone at home, gave him the letter which Mom wrote and reminded him to tear the letter as soon as he read it. Nalatambi felt empathy for them and told his wife,
"Poor kids, it is bad time for them. Even though their mom is alive, they live as if they do not have one."
When the lad saw Mom's letter, it was as if they had seen Mom herself. Salim wrote her at least once a month about the situation at Thyrovadavar and their studies. Whenever Mom received a letter from Salim, she felt very happy and read it repeatedly many days. Some days she skipped her food and lamented as she could not stand the deep sorrow due to separation. She submitted it at the Lord's feet day and night. One time when Salim was returning from the school, he dropped a letter he wrote to Mom in the mailbox. Next day both of them went to the school as usual. When they returned from school that evening, Dad was very angry and his eyes were red. He called Salim. Salim went to him frightened without knowing what happened. When he came near, Dad slapped him repeatedly on his face. He screamed with pain. Dad yelled at him asking if he had written a letter to his mom, and Salim denied. He shouted at him,
"You dog, are you lying to me?"
and threw a letter at his face. When he bent down and picked up the letter, he was shocked to see the letter he mailed yesterday. He wondered how Dad got it. When he looked at the address, it was clear he had written his dad's address instead of Mom's. In it, he had written how much they loved Jesus Christ, about the situation at Thyrovadavar and how they longed for her love. Dad said,
"At this young age you have learned to turn against your own dad. Never ever think that you can do anything at your dad's back. I won't let you without punishment for this. I am going to break your legs and leave you lame."
He beat him repeatedly. Salim fell on the ground and shrieked bitterly in pain. The whole night Dad shouted at him heatedly and did not give him supper. Dad's heart was fuming like a volcano. Dad thought to himself,
"I thought since these two boys are very young I can at least bring them up as strong Muslims, that is why I kept them with me and let others go with her and get spoiled. I cooked for these boys and looked after all their needs, but these boys are acting as messengers for her. If they are so cunning in this age, when they grow up they will be the worst traitors. This is what I get in return for the efforts I took to earn and feed her and her children. I will not let this happen so easily.
He perceived that his own wife and children deceived him. He lost his peace of mind. It came out like a tornado. He did not sleep that night. Fear engulfed the children, they also did not sleep. Salim anticipated that since Dad was very angry he will break his legs in the night. In the morning, Dad was still furious. Salim, without even eating his breakfast properly, picked up his school bag and ran to the school, as he was afraid to stay at home any longer. His mind was preoccupied with what happened the previous evening. Perhaps if he returns home in the afternoon, still he'll be beaten up and his legs might be broken. During lunch break, students comfortably sat under the tree shades and enjoyed their lunch. Bell rang for the afternoon session and everybody returned to their classes. Salim did not go to his class, he was still sitting under the tree. He looked around if anyone was watching him, and after making sure that nobody was looking at him, he ran towards the highway which leads to Madurai. He decided to take a bus to Madurai and escape from Dad before Dad gets the news and follows him. Due to fear of becoming crippled and staying indoors for the rest of his life, he ran with his full strength on a gravel road in the burning afternoon sun. After few minutes, Madurai bus came along, and with a prayer that his dad should not be in the bus, he got in. He looked around to make sure that his dad was not there, because Dad used to go to Madurai whenever he feels like and return the same day. As soon as the bus reached Madurai, he got down at once and was frightened to stand there even for a minute, thinking that somebody might come and take him back to Dad, so he hurried to Sister Radha and brother Soundrapandian's house at Dindugal Road. He explained everything. They soothed that God protected him, brought him there safely, and he would not allow any harm. Salim said,
I must go to Vajagapati immediately before my dad somehow finds me here.
Soundrapandian accompanied him to intercity bus terminal to make sure that he was safe. Salim followed, hiding behind him. When he reached home at Vajagapati in the dark night, he saw his mom praying with the open Bible in front of her. As she heard some footsteps, she at once closed the Bible, opened her eyes, and was not able to believe her own eyes seeing Salim standing in front of her. She embraced him and shed tears of joy. She took him in her lap and asked how he managed to come. Salim described everything. She thanked God for bringing him safely back to her. When she asked why he didn't bring Ayub with him, he said,
I told him in the morning itself to come with me, but he was frightened that if Dad would get hold of us he would kill us both, so I absconded alone. Mummy, if I did not come like this he would break my legs.
Mom was worried about Ayub as he is lonely and by himself in that big house whenever Dad is out. When the teachers realized that Salim was not in the class, they thought that maybe he is having stomach upset and might be in the toilet. After waiting for a while, they searched for him everywhere in vain and informed his dad about his absence. Dad suspected that he must have absconded somewhere and he launched a search in all directions including Madurai. None could find him. Dad postulated maybe he went to Vajagapati to his mom, but he did not send anyone there. Dad asked Ayub if he told him anything and Ayub denied. Ayub felt lonely in the evening and wept as he did not have his mom, brothers, or sister. House at the back of the clinic was very big, which Dad bought recently. There Ayub was all by himself. When he was not playing with his friends he stayed close to his dad. If Dad went on home visit, he would sit in front of the house watching the passers-by. Dad took him along to everywhere else like shops or nearby town etc. He was very affectionate to him and looked after him very carefully always, keeping him close. Salim attended Vajagapati school. Salim's homecoming revived Mom. She was frightened that her husband might come looking for Salim. Months rolled by and mom was worried about Ayub. One day a neighbor asked if there was any news about Ayub and mom said,
"No."
Neighbor prompted mom to visit him one day. Mom replied with tears,
"If I go to him, his dad would ask about Salim and fight with me. Even if he beats me up, it's okay, but I cannot stand him taking Salim back."
Neighbor solaced mom.
God you worship would not leave you without help, even then doctor should not have done this. If you worry, your health will be affected. If you fall sick, who will look after these kids? If you are healthy, it is good for kids. So be strong, good days will come soon. God who planted the tree will water it, and so do not worry.
Mom prayed for hours to God, Lord, give me an opportunity to see my son. You promised that you will not cast off anyone who comes to you. If we ask anything in faith, we will receive it. Please answer we are my prayers. Many days were spent in prayer. At last she got an idea and told Pastor Stephen that she is going to see Ayub. Vajagapati Christian Church Pastor Stephen queried,
"How do you do it, since his dad will be very angry?" "Yes. I know he will get enraged, that is why I will visit him in school without his dad's knowledge."
To Pastor Stephen it was a good idea. Mom asked him to pray for it. She got ready to see Ayub, prepared some tasty dishes, went to Thiruvadavar and waited under a tree for the school bell to ring for the lunch break. From the time she started from Vajagapati around 4 o'clock in the morning, she prayed that her husband should not see her. She also thanked for God's grace so far, and her eyes were looking everywhere to see if somebody is watching her. Lunch bell rang, children came running out of their classes as well as Ayub. Taken by surprise, he saw his mom waiting under the tree. He was not able to believe his eyes and ran to her shouting,
"Mom, Mom!"
Sorrow gripped their throats and they both cried. She hugged him, kissed him, kept him on her lap and asked,
"How are you doing, Ayub? Why are you so thin? Are you thinking about me and not eating properly? You should not think about mom and feel sad. You should eat well and become a big boy."
Ayub inquired about his brothers and sister. Mom replied that everybody is doing fine, they are all anxious to see him and God will make it happen soon. Mom demanded why he did not come when Salim ran away to Vajagapati. He replied that he was frightened if Dad would find them he would kill them. She urged anxiously,
"Do you want to come with me now? I will take you safely."
Ayub responded,
"No, if I also leave Dad, Dad will not have anybody with him and he will be feeling very sad."
Mom questioned.
"Does your dad look after you well and love you?"
He said,
"I am always with Dad, he takes care of me excellently and buys whatever I want."
Mom continued.
"Does he still scold or beat you?"
Ayub mentioned.
"Dad stopped it, he loves me much."
Mom gave delicious dishes and watched him eating. Mom pursued about Dad and understood that he was doing fine. School bell rang and children ran to their classes. Ayub said that it was time for him to go to his class. Mom did not want to part from him and suggested him to go a little later. Ayub cautioned that since all children went to their classes he should go, otherwise his teacher would start looking for age. Mom advised him to eat properly, not to worry, and she would try to visit him often. She kissed him many times and let him go. She watched sadly with tears as Ayub walked to his class. Her heart was beating fast with her motherly love. Mom walked to the road, took a bus and returned to Vajagapati. She thanked God for protecting her from husband's sight. Even though she was sad without Ayub, on the other hand she felt happy that she could see him. Once in 6 months she visited Ayub. 5 or 6 years passed by and Mom moved with the children to Vellore. Vellore was over 100 kilometers from Malur, which made it difficult to visit Ayub. So she decided to stop by before moving to Vellore. She told Ayub.
Ayub, even if mom goes to Vellore I will come to see you. Do not cry thinking that I have gone to a far-off place, be brave.
Ayub was frightened and wanted her to visit him. Mom promised to do so. After Ayub left for his class, she boarded a bus going to Madurai and was shocked to see her husband sitting in the front row. She wondered, all these times when I came to see Ayub such a thing never happened, maybe he will scold and fight with her there itself. Mom sat many seats away from him and prayed. When they arrived Madurai, bus stopped in front of American College, few passengers got down, Dad also got up and before getting down he turned back and looked at his wife, she too looked at him with fright. After many years, both of them looked at each other face to face. Her husband had a low ng beard and a mustache and he was not angry, from his eyes she was able to feel that he was wondering as to whether to talk to her or not. After standing there hesitantly for some time he got down and moved along with the people. Mom sat there watching him disappear in the crowd and thought how she had 6 children with him and had a family, but now she has to look at him like a stranger. Then bus started to advance and Mom never thought that this is the last time that she sees Dad. She failed to hear the heaven and the earth whispering.
There will not be a time to have family with him again, as this is God's will and it is a cross for her to bear.
Mom was confident that one day God will join them again and they will have normal family life. Chapter 17. Exam results are out. At Thiruvadavar, Dad's heart was like a burning volcano. He thought of so many things. Not only was she spoiled, but she spoiled all the children. She did not obey her husband and she trained their children not to obey their dad. Hereafter what respect do I have in this home? I was not respected as either dad or husband. It is a family without a head. I do not have a place at Vajagapati home. She converted them to listen to her only. What is the use of earning income for them all these years? Earning money to feed and educate them is a waste. My efforts were just like watering the weeds. Did they lack anything? In Vajagapati, people compared my family to a king's household. Even in a millionaire's home you will not have such excellent food and dress. During Hindu festivities, I bought them lot of things since they should not feel they are left out as the only Muslim family. If it is Deepavali festival, even before a month I bought them boxes of fireworks from Madurai and my children lighted firecrackers before any other kids in the town. I spent without limit and this is the reward I receive in return. Now let me see how she is going to educate her children without my money. He decided not to go to Vajagapati and to establish his practice at Thiruvadavar. Since Thiruvadavar was only 6 kilometers from Malur, he could visit his mom Fathumathu Bibi often. He neither supported his family financially nor wrote letters. Now financial problems started to take heed in the family. During the annual vacation, Omar, Fatima, and Mitheen came home. Mom told everything. Children said,
Why didn't you write to us about these things? We too would have prayed to the Lord to deliver us from all these miseries.
Mom said,
I did not write you these things since I do not want you to feel sad and spoil your studies.
Fear and sorrow gripped their hearts about unknown future as they know their dad well. If somebody is not good to him, they cannot lead a happy life. He will make sure that they suffer. He had done this to people. It is his nature to take revenge. Though he is the only Muslim in the town, nobody would go against his word. Sometimes he advised his children, unless you sting people they will not know that you are powerful like a scorpion, otherwise they might treat you as an earthworm.
Mom and children were like a mosquito in front of him. All passed in their final exams. Omar continued Bachelor of Science final year and Fatima Bachelor of Arts second year. Mithine finished pre-university course and was not sure about future plan. Mom went to Dad at Thiruvadavar and asked.
Shah Jahan finished SSLC and should join pre-university course, what do you say?
Dad abruptly replied.
Did you go to church only after asking my permission? Why do you ask me about his studies? Go educate them if you want. Let me see how you educate your children without my money. I will not give you a single penny for their education.
He drove her away empty-handed. With great disappointment she lamented night and day with tears.
Lord, my husband does not know you. Please educate my children that he may know the Lord we serve is living God. God heard her prayers. Mom prayed.
Lord, show us your will regarding Shah Jahan's future study.
After few days prayer, God told her that he should do biology. It was just like a friend talking directly. She was happy to know God's will. He applied to American college seeking admission for pre-university course with biology. They were very confident that Shah Jahan will get a seat in biology. But this university college refused him a seat in biology, instead offered him mathematics. Omar went to Madurai to see the principal of American college regarding Shah Jahan's admission. At Soundra Pandian's house, Sounder happily welcomed him, inquiring about people at home. Omar said,
By God's grace everyone is doing well. I want to request the principal to give admission to Shah Jahan in biology, so please pray for it.
He lovingly said,
Brother, do not worry about anything, God will take care of everything. You can stay at our place and dine with us, do not eat outside.
Their love touched his heart. Due to poverty he could not afford to eat outside. They treated Omar like their own brother, prepared a place for him to stay and gave him a cup of coffee. While sipping coffee, Omar added,
Brother, I have some business to take care of at Fatima College, so I am going there. If Ramasamy comes along, ask him to drop in at American College tomorrow around 3 o'clock and I'll meet him there.
Omar met Radha's sister who was living in a portion of the same house. He asked her to pray for problems in the family. She told that she spent many nights in prayer for their family and shared visions and revelations God gave her about his mom. Omar felt stronger after hearing them. He thought,
God knows everything happening at home, without his permission nothing will happen to us and God will protect us from all harm.
He left her. The afternoon sun was very hot. He got into a city bus and traveled by standing as there was a huge crowd. His thoughts were going around Soundar's family. How loving they were, they treated him like a king though he was like a beggar and they didn't have any benefit from him. As well, Soundar's family faced debts and poverty, they cooked many varieties for him. He remembered what God said, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me. God will bless them abundantly. Omar turned his attention towards a group of students who were anxiously looking at the newspaper. Some got the newspaper from one another and looked at it in haste. Omar asked the man standing next to him as to what important news was in newspaper. He replied,
Madurai University results are out.
Omar's heart began to beat fast. He thought the worst day of his life had come. He was wondering as to whether to see the newspaper or not. He did not have the courage to look at the newspaper. At the same time, in a corner of his heart a voice said,
Omar, do not lose your faith. God who said ask and it shall be given unto you, will he change? Even if the surroundings are like a tornado, do not give up your faith in God. Glance the newspaper, God might have done a miracle.
He was caught in between fear caused by unbelief and faith in God. He knew somehow he should see it one day and borrowed the newspaper from a nearby passenger. He first checked their class section and his number was not there. He got worried and kept on searching for it repeatedly. He regarded that he failed in the exams. A second thought that God must have done a wonder, so he investigated at second class section. There also he did not find his number. Finally he examined in the section where students have passed only some subjects. His number was not there too. He did not pass even in a single subject. He felt like a dead corpse. He thanked the gentleman returning the newspaper. The bus passenger probed.
Have you passed?
And Omar said,
I was not able to see the paper properly in a moving bus. I will see it leisurely at home.
His heart cried and remembered the words of Jesus on the cross of Calvary.
Lord, Lord, why have you forsaken me?
After finishing his business at the Fatima College, he went to the American College. Ramasamy was waiting for him there. He congratulated Omar on his success. Omar angrily asked,
What for congratulations? Are you making fun of me?
He replied.
Since you got through the exams.
Omar retorted.
I saw the result and I know I failed. Do not play with me already, I am in deep sorrow.
Ramasamy confusingly said that he is not telling lies. He pointed at a number in the newspaper and said,
See, you passed in the first class.
With doubt Omar looked at it and it was his number. He got revived and stood there like a statue. His heart was filled with joy. He praised God.
Lord, forgive me, I did not trust you, still you have blessed me more than I asked for. I pleaded just for a pass, but you have given me the first class result. I thank you thousands of times.
Then he explained everything to Ramasamy and both of them thanked God for the miracle. That day they did not get permission to see the principal. So they decided to see him the next day. On return, Sounder's mom and sisters prepared him mutton curry and vegetables. Omar asked them why they took so much trouble in preparing all these delicacies for him. They said,
God gave you this, praise him and enjoy it.
Omar thought,
I am an ordinary man, good for nothing. Dad left the family in poverty and nobody respects us in the town. Still they treat me with so much love.
He prayed for abundant blessings upon them. They sat on the patio where there was gentle breeze and the stars shining in the dark sky. Omar told about the miracle God did for him that day. They were happy. Sounder said,
Brother, God is good. His grace is always with us. He never forsakes you, gave you great victory.